negative filtering. Today, we're breaking down negative filtering, which is an example of a cognitive distortion. So, Jessica had a performance review at work, right? And if you've ever had something like this, you might be able to relate to how she felt because she goes in there and her boss goes, "Okay, Jessica, you're doing really good with everything. We appreciate your hard work. You've really been a valuable asset to the company. We really like the way that you've brought in creativity and you've helped your fellow coworkers to be able to progress. You've also assisted in increasing the bottom line for your department. And we love just your personality in general that you bring to work. We do want to see you be a little bit more on time with the performance review or the reviews that you turn in for your clients. But other than that, we have to say we love having you and you're doing an absolute great job and we want you to continue. So out of all that, what do you think Jessica actually remembered? Out of all the things that her boss said to her, what did she remember? Well, of course, it was the criticism, right? And isn't that how it goes? Someone can give us 30 compliments, but if they say one piece of criticism, one negative thing, that's the thing that sticks with us. If you're creating content, you can have your people on there boosting you up. They're going, "Oh my God, we love you so much." They're leaving comments and positive posts on your profile. They're hearting, they're liking, you know what I mean? They're sharing it, right? And all the positive things they say. And one person comes in with some negativity and says something negative about your hair or your weight or something that you didn't say that they thought was accurate or they disagreed. And isn't that the thing you tend to remember? Are you like that? Like you remember the negative. You tend to focus on the negative. There's a very natural biological basis for focusing on the negative, right? If you think about us having to survive, like in a natural environment, um, although there's beautiful flowers and trees around us, we're going to be focused on that spider that's in the tree next to us because maybe that spider's poisonous, maybe it can hurt us. And to that aim and to that end, it's valuable for our survival. But what happens with negative filtering is we become so obsessed with the spider in the tree that we do lose track of the flowers and the grass and the air and the sky and the sun and our health because we're too busy worried about the one bad thing, the one scary thing. In the provincial society that we live in, these bad things are not lions and tigers. They're just various things, and there's an infinite supply of potential threats, right, to your happiness and well-being. There's an infinite supply. Can you think of some examples? Yeah. Well, how about being rejected? That's one of the most people's worst fear. People are worried about not being able to make enough money to be comfortable or even to pay their basic necessities. People are worried about not being liked, not being loved. People are worried about hurting other people's feelings. People are worried about, right? So many things, whether it's financial, whether it's emotional, they're worried about their health. People are having health issues. People are having bullying. They're being picked on, right? So there's so many negative things to think about, even though those negative things might not actually be happening right now. And so what happens with negative filtering is like Jessica, we can just hyper focus on that one bad or that two bad or the three bad, and we just ignore all of the positive that exists. And we do that because we feel like I don't care about the positive because that's not helping me to survive, right? We're worried about surviving. We don't want to get hurt again. We don't want to get traumatized again. And so trauma survivors resort to negative filtering as a coping mechanism. so that they can keep themselves safe, right? And so, are you a negative filterer? What kind of thoughts do you have throughout your day? Does this sound like your mind? I always mess things up. I can never get anything right. Nobody cares about me. I'm completely alone. I failed this one task, so I'm a total failure at everything. My flaws define me. I'm completely worthless. Does that sound like you? Do you know anyone who thinks like that? If someone doesn't like me, it means I'm unlikable to everyone. I'm never going to succeed. I'm destined to be a failure. You make one mistake and you say, I must be a complete idiot. How could I do that? You get one rejection and you go, see, I'm unlovable. I'm undesirable. I'll never be good enough no matter what I do. Does this sound like your brain? Do you say things to yourself like, I can't trust anyone? People are just out to hurt me. I'm always overlooked. I'm always ignored by others. Do you think about your past mistakes in a way like it defines you? Like, well, that's who I am. I'm just a guy who, whatever your past mistakes are. I'll never recover from this setback. It's the end for me. Nobody understands me. I'm alone in my struggles. I'll never be happy. I don't deserve happiness. My accomplishments are just luck, right? Someone says, hey, but you did this and you accomplished this. And then someone who negative filters, they go, yeah, but that's just luck. You know, all the good things you did. Yeah, I just got lucky. It doesn't, anyone could have done that if they had my knowledge and my experience and my expertise and my God-given talents. Anyone could, you just downplay all the good, all the accomplishments that you have, right? Any talents that you have, you're just, that's nothing. That doesn't matter. Others are always judging me negatively. Do you feel that way? I can't escape the judgment. I'm always getting judged. I feel like it's really quiet in this room right now. Is it perhaps because some of this sounds like someone you know? Yeah. So those are examples of negative filtering. Person who negatively filters, they view the world from a negative lens. They're going through life always worried about the snake in the grass, whether they've seen a snake today or not. They're still worried about it. They're still concerned about it. So why are we doing this? Well, it's trauma. It's a trauma response, right? It's a psychological short-term defense. If I'm always thinking the worst, then I can't get surprised because I'm out here already pre-thinking the bad before the bad can hit me. And that's the thing I don't want to happen is I want to get hit with the surprise. That's the worst part. Just hit me out of nowhere with the surprise. Don't hit me out of nowhere with the surprise. I'm just gonna pre-think the negative that can happen. And how does that philosophy work for you? Well, it's probably pretty rough, right? Because now what this actually means, which you didn't think out when you came up with this strategy when you were 5 or 3, is that uh, you have to think negative all the time. So even when something bad's not happening, you're in your mind, you have to be focused on that negative. And so therefore you are playing out the negative, the catastrophe, you are playing that out in your head. The worst case scenario so that you're actually living in there because subconsciously it's going to give you the chemicals that's going to match the situation that you're feeding it. So when you're feeding a negative situation to your subconscious mind, the subconscious doesn't know, oh, he's just messing around. It doesn't say, oh, it's okay. This isn't a real negative situation. I'm not going to drop chemicals in this. No, it's going to say, oh my God, we're in an emergency situation. Drop the adrenaline, drop the cortisol, go, 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 go. And what happens when you get an overrush of cortisol into your system? Everything bad, right? Cortisol is good to an extent. We're only supposed to get a little bit because then it'll be a pain inhibitor, for instance. But if you get too much of the pain inhibitor, actually creates an oversensitivity to pain. Meaning now, because you thought negatively all the time for months and years, now the slightest thing just kills you. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they moved my desk from over here to over here. I don't know why they did this. And you're hurt. You become oversensitive. Your feelings become so sensitive because you lived in negativity. Yeah, suffer twice when it only happens once. In reality, most of the things that we worry about never happen at all. Only like 10% of the things that we're actually worried about ever actually occur. It's not really great odds. I'm going to worry about 9 things when only one of the things ever actually happens. It doesn't really work well. All right. And we can't take a compliment to save our lives. Hey, you did a good job. No, I didn't. It was horrible. Do you do that? Somebody gives you a compliment. You're pretty. No, I'm not. I'm ugly today. Immediately deflect, deflect. No, you're pretty. I'm not pretty. I wish I was as pretty as you are. That's what happens when we're a negative filterer. Why would we take in anything that's good or positive for our soul? Why would we build our own selves up when we can just live in total negativity and darkness? Because, hey, that's going to keep us safe, right? Right? That's our strategy to stay safe? Wrong. You might have thought that it was going to help, but it does not help you to stay safe. This is a psychological short-term defense mechanism. Emphasis on the short term because it doesn't work as a life strategy. We do it because it gives us a sense of cognitive control. We feel like, okay, if I anticipate this event, if I focus on this event, and then it's negative, then I will have been ready for it. Right? So it gives you a sense of control. We do it to protect ourselves as a protective measure, kind of like to prepare yourself for the disappointments. Right? It's self-protection. It's self-protection, self-preservation. Right? It also, we do it because it validates our negative beliefs. Right? Because it doesn't just stop with us filtering everything to be negative. We actually have whole negative beliefs about the entire world. Like you can't trust anyone, or we'll maybe break it down to some subgroups. Like you can't trust any men, or you can't trust any women. They're the ones, they're the devil right there. Or you say, maybe break it down to a race. Can't trust those people, that's for sure. Right. Ah. With negative filtering, then you get validation of your negative beliefs. Maybe it's you. Maybe you put it on yourself. Oh, I'm not so unrighteous as to hate other people. I just hate me. See how righteous that is? I just hate me. Yeah, you're a human being. Newsflash. You're still a hater. When you hate yourself, you're still a hater. When you abuse yourself, you're still an abuser. Sorry, you're a person. It's inconvenient, I know, but take it up with God because you were made as beautiful and as wonderful and as worthy as every other person. And so when you shove yourself in the corner and you put yourself down and you call yourself ugly and say you're stupid and say you're not good enough, you're just abusing a human being, which makes you an abuser. So don't feel proud of that. You're not righteous for doing that. So maybe it's time for us to update our system, right? Maybe it's time for us to update the way we're thinking and our beliefs. Again, room is silent. Everyone's just like wow, nobody has any jokes, nothing. Yeah, I think this maybe hits very closely for trauma survivors because negative filtering is one of the main cognitive distortions that trauma survivors use as a coping mechanism. But here's the thing. The way that you're made, the way that you're designed is on this 85-15 rule of thumb, meaning 85% of you needs to be in the positive in order to be healthy. It's not a 50-50. It's not like, well, maybe to balance it, I'm supposed to look at 50% negative, 50% positive. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It's just like carbon in the system. right? Because you're made of nitrogen and all these different chemicals or gases or whatever it is. But these elements need to be in the proper balance. So you need to be 85% oxygen, nitrogen, right? And only 15% carbon. Now you need the carbon, but you don't want too much carbon because if that carbon gets above 20% in your system, you're gonna shut down. You're gonna suffocate. You're gonna die. Like you're going straight to the hospital. If the carbon in your system goes beyond 20%, right? This is just science. It's like that in the energy realm as well, right? So you have the whole energy self, which is all the thoughts that you have going in your swirling in your brain. 85% needs to be positive. That's your nitrogen, oxygen. Only 15% of your thoughts are supposed to be negative. Okay. We need the negative thoughts because that's where the criticism's at. We need 15% criticism, not more than that. Because if it gets beyond 20% criticism in your mind, you're going to shut down. You're going to go into mental cardiac arrest. You're not going to survive if you keep that up. I can promise you that. It's not good for you. It's not a protection mechanism. It's not a good strategy to think, well, if I just anticipate all the bad, then it's not a good strategy. It's actually setting you up for more pain because it increases your sensitivity and it sets you up for a more anguish because you already live in the anguish. So then when something bad already happens, you've already been living in anguish and now you got some actual anguish that you have to experience. And again, now you're oversensitive. You're just not prepared for it. You can't handle it. So now you really become overwhelmed when something goes bad. It's not a good strategy. It's the biggest threat to your health is negative thinking by far. The biggest threat to your health is negative thinking. So how do we get into 85% positive thinking? Well, we need to become a positive filterer. It means that just like you had the skill of looking at everything in a bad way before, you need to build the skill. And I mean tonight, because we don't have time. Tonight, you need to build the skill of positive filtering so that 85% of your thoughts are positive. How do you measure 15% positivity? It's math, it's mathematics. So I think that's 1 in 5, something like that. And I'm not really great at math, but approximately 1 in 5. It's math. So literally, if you have 5 thoughts, only one can be negative, the other 4 have to be positive. It is like that. It's math. This also works for relationships, by the way, anyone who's trying to make it work with somebody. 1 in 6. Thanks, Perry. I don't know math. Thank you. But in relationships, it needs to be the same. That the researchers have seen that if you have more than 1 in 5 negative interactions with your spouse, your relationship will not work out. So you need to have 5 to 1 positive interactions with your spouse. All right. So you have to have lots and lots and lots and lots of positive thoughts. And that's what builds us up. That's what makes us strong enough to be able to handle the inevitable stress and tragedies that we will face in this world that we're living in. That's what keeps us safe. The positivity is what would actually keep you safe. Again, if you get the right ratio, if you get your thoughts to 85% positivity, that's what builds you up so that you can actually handle and withstand the inevitable tragedies and stress that you're going to incur. Does that make sense? Quick illustration. Someone who's in negativity all the time, they're going, everything's bad. Oh my God, nobody likes me. Everyone judges me. Everything's bad. And then they get a bill in the mail and they open it up and it's more than what they thought. Oh, what, right? They're going to lose it. Oh my God. Oh, I can't believe I got a bill like this. This doesn't make sense. Why are they targeting me? How am I going to handle this? Oh, right. And they have a whole breakdown over this bill. Now let's reverse the situation. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's say this person's in 85% positivity. The day's beautiful. This house is beautiful. My life is beautiful. I have so much, there's so much prosperity around me. I'm so glad for what I am. Right. And then they get a bill in the mail. And then they open the bill and it's more than what they thought. And how is a positivity person going to handle this? Well, because they live in personal power and positivity, they now go, oh man, this bill's more than what I thought. And they get to thinking, what can I do? What can I do? And they go, well, I'm going to call them and I'm going to try to figure this out. And they get on the phone. In the end, the guy who had the breakdown gets on the phone too. And both of them get the same reaction on the phone. They get on the phone, they realize they can knock 20% off the bill. They work out a deal on the bill. And it's all okay in the end. But the guy who had the breakdown he had a breakdown. He's on the floor, he's crying, right? It ruined his whole day before he got around to just doing what he needed to do. The positive thinking person didn't have his day ruined. He was back out at dinner the same night. It was nothing. It was, I got the bill. That's more than what I thought. He took action and then he was able to move on. His emotional system was able to withstand a disappointment. Does that make sense? His emotional system was able to withstand a disappointment because he kept himself safe through positive thinking. So you need to be a positive filterer in order to not be in mental illness. This is your cure. You need to be positively filtering so that you're not in mental illness. Positive filtering reduces stress. It gives you an optimistic outlook. It improves your health. The research suggests that positive thinking contributes to better health, better cardiovascular health, strengthened immune system, lower risk of illness and diseases. Positive filtering enhances your resilience. It increases your happiness. Positive filtering is a better coping mechanism. It makes your relationships go better. Positive filtering makes you more productive. It enhances your creativity. We're unlocking the essence of life, being a human. This is a life skill to positively filter. No matter what's happening to you, you have a way of filtering it to the positive. You can have someone, they're beating you up, right? They're beating you up. A positive filterer is saying, wow, I can withstand a lot. I'm surprised I haven't died yet. I'm still living, right? And meanwhile, a negative filter is like, I'm definitely dying right now. I am going to die right now. When it comes down to it and you're in critical condition, who's going to have the better chance of survival? The positive filterer. Their whole system is more prone to resilience, to overcoming. The negative filterer is more likely to shut down and not be able to make it because they live in critical condition. So that's just going to tip them over the edge. Positive filterers have a longer lifespan. They have better mental health. So there's no question. Now this doesn't mean we need to get into toxic positivity. You know what toxic positivity is? You ever meet someone like that? Toxic positivity is where someone thinks that they're supposed to be 100% positive. Don't you ever say anything around me that is negative at all. Blah, 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 blah. I can't hear you. That's toxic positivity. So what happens is they don't understand that you still do need the 15% criticism negative thinking, right? They think, no. Toxic, it's toxic. I don't want any negativity. Don't ever say anything around me, right? And they're doing that. That's toxic positivity. They think they're doing good. And maybe they had good results at first because they were in positivity, but then they just took it too far. So now they're dismissive. That's toxic positivity. They're dismissive of other people's feelings, other people's experiences. They're invalidating. That's toxic positivity. They're minimizing your experience. They're minimizing other people's feelings. That's toxic positivity. And then they blame the individual. is they can't handle the fact that there would be issues or problems or imperfection in their world. So as soon as you say, "Hey, I had a little bit of trouble," that's your fault. That's toxic positivity. That's your fault. You go, no, I'm just saying, I know that I had something to do with it, but I'm just struggling with you lacked faith. You didn't have enough faith. It would have worked if you would have had faith, but you didn't have enough faith. They blame you. That's toxic positivity. It's too much. So how do we make sure we don't get into toxic positivity? Well, hold space for that 15%, understanding, recognition that there are some things that are negative that we have to have um, uh, acknowledgement of, even about ourselves, right? Even about ourselves. We have to be able to accept criticism. People have to be able to say, "Hey, you're not as amazing as you think you are." We have to be able to say, 15% of me can handle that. Probably true to 15%. Yeah. Right. But you got to keep it in its place. So it's a balancing act. But we got to make sure 85% we're staying in the positive when we're thinking about ourselves and when we're thinking about others. Does that make sense? It's not just you. You're not the only great person. You got to think positively about others as well. About your world positively. 15% we can hold for the criticism because there are some real issues that need to be looked at with others, with ourselves, and with the world around us. We have to hold space for that. But to be healthy, we're in 85% positivity and we protect our mental paradise. So you ready to practice positive filtering? Okay, so let's say you have health issues. How can you positively filter with health issues? Well, you could say, well, at least I'm still alive. Yeah, I'm grateful. Grateful that I'm still here. Perhaps there will be possibility that I'll get better. And that's the part you focus your mind on 85%. And you're only 15% in the I have a problem. I have a health issue. And you need to be there so that you do the necessary steps, like take your medicine and go to the doctor. How about if you lost a loved one? How can you positively filter having lost a loved one? Yeah, we can be grateful for the grief because the grief is an expression of our love. Yeah, absolutely. We can remember positive experiences. Yeah. How about the fact that they're no longer suffering? If they died, then they're no longer suffering. That's a relief. That's a relief. And we focus our mind on that. We focus our mind on what they would want us to be doing with our life, with our time. Because chances are it's not just crying over them for months and years to come. They wouldn't want us to stop and shut down our entire life. So we get back and focusing on the living, us, their surviving relatives, friends, and family that need support, because that's the best that we can do right now. Right. What about if we hit financial difficulties? What if we hit financial difficulties? How do we reframe financial losses with positive filtering? How do we see it through a positive? Yep, it's temporary. That's the best thing about financial issues. This is some of the best issues to have. Meanwhile, you lost $100,000 and you say, it's temporary, because the thing with money is it ebbs and it flows and I can always get more, right? Yes. I'm glad this was just a financial issue. Could have been something worse. Could have been something more serious. That's right. It's replaceable. It's replenishable. What if there's a natural disaster? Hurricane comes, causes property damage, causes it displaces you. There's a big fire, burns up a bunch of your stuff. How do we positively filter? I'm getting new stuff. Yeah. Sometimes maybe there was an insurance policy in there. Uh, Glad I survived. I'm glad I'm alive. I'm glad my kids are alive. Whatever survived, I'm glad for what I still have. I'm glad for what I still have. Yeah, that's positive filtering. Is that delusional? Well, all I know is you're not going to bring anything back by just focusing only on what was lost. Oh no, that was my favorite guitar. And you just only focus on that. It's okay to grieve it, but if you're not moving on to get refocused, doing the work on positive filtering back to what's going to help you, That guitar can now kill you. That loss of that guitar can kill you because this is life or death. Getting lost and spiraling into negativity, it's not righteous. It's not going to help us. It doesn't show faith. All right. What about this? What about if you get into legal trouble? You ever gotten in legal trouble before? How do you reframe, positively reframe a legal situation? I had one client. He was framed for sexual assault. He was just minding his own business, having normal relationships with the guys and the gals in his school. And then next thing you know, he's kicked off the football team. Everything is changed in his life because he was framed for assault. Now, how do we positively filter that situation? Well, I like that. I'm learning a life lesson. I like that. I'm like that. Yeah. Well, the worst that happens, I end up going to jail, but I'm still alive and I can still fulfill my purpose, right? Because if our purpose is to help others, there's human beings in jail too. Yeah. Let's positively filter the situation, right? I can't control what the judge does, but I can control what evidence I bring forth. I can control what sort of fight we're going to put forth in this situation. How I'm going to try to prove my innocence. I can't control what other people decide. I can't control what they do. One person said, if I don't go to jail, I don't have to work anymore. Yeah. But usually we tend to get through. Most of us don't end up in prison for the rest of our lives for things. The reality is we tend to get through these legal situations and they are learning experiences for us on how we can move a little bit more carefully. Absolutely. Uh, what about a friend betrays you? How do you positively filter that? A loved one or a friend betrays you. Why did they do you a favor, Bridget? Make space for authentic people? Absolutely. I'm glad to know now. You guys got it. This is exactly right. Not no exaggeration. Yep. They let you know you should not be around them. They expose who they are. That's right. That's right. That's right. Now you know. Now you know who you can't trust. That's right. So when they betray you, it's a gift. See that positive filtering? Oh, you betrayed me. Okay, that's great. I'm glad I didn't spend another 10 years in this relationship thinking that you actually had my back. It's fine. It's fine. Now you betrayed me. Now I know. Be gone. Just cross them off your list. They're gone. They don't exist to you anymore. It's fine. Now you focus on your life, your purpose, and you'll attract a new tribe. What about if we experience public humiliation or embarrassment? Public humiliation or embarrassment. How do we positively reframe that? Mm-hmm. It shows me something else I can get through. Yeah. Now I'm famous. As funny as that is, there's a lot of people who are very wealthy and very popular who became popular through some notorious shaming situation. So, yeah, actually, yeah. This too shall pass. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Teaches me about humanity. Yeah. Now I can have empathy for others who go through something like this. Yeah, you got it. You guys got it. So I can see you guys got this positive filtering down. So this is it. This is it. We're done with the negative thinking. I mean, done. It's done. Go ahead, throw it in the trash. From now on, we use this positive filtering. For how much? Everything, all the time. It's positive filtering. From the time you're brushing your teeth, to the time you go back to bed at night, it's positive filtering. When we wake up in the morning, we're going into gratitude meditation. When we go to sleep at night, we're doing our beautiful vision of the future. It's always positive filtering. It's always positive filtering. Are we able to see some negative? Of course, we have empathy for the bad things that are happening to ourselves and others. And that's why we keep that little 15% to be able to sit there and be able to handle the criticism and recognize. But from now on, we think positively. That's it. That's it. And will this help you? I promise. Yeah, it's not self-help mumbo jumbo. It's a cure to our mental illness. Over the next three Mindset Mondays, we're going to finish talking about cognitive distortions. And the next three cognitive distortions are under this umbrella of negative filtering. So we're going to completely root this out. We're going to try to hit all the bases. When we're done with the cognitive distortions, then we're thinking clearly. And when you're thinking clearly, that's mental health. So welcome. I'm so proud of you guys for everything you've done here, the work that you've put in. How amazing that you could have been anywhere tonight doing anything, but you thought, I'm going to go here and I'm going to focus on my healing.